Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master. And before we get into today's episode, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and leave us a comment. That helps us out on our end with the YouTube algorithm, but also we love to hear from you guys. We've got an awesome community here, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much for being here. So, having said all of that, let's get into it. The prologue to today's story takes place on Earth 550-000-045, where the current year is 1945. Vortex opens a portal, and Powerhouse 2, as well as the friction from Earth K and the friction from Earth L, all step through. Back around the year 2000, the friction of Earth K had traveled back in time to meet her dad when he was her age. Sort of like Marty McFly going back and spending time with George McFly in 1955. But unlike in Back to the Future, where Marty eventually makes it home, friction ended up staying in the past. So as a result, even though she was born in the year 2002, the friction of Earth K is now 49 years old, which just so happens to be the age I am in real life right now. But the friction of Earth L is only 23 years old. So the two of them could pass for mother and daughter. Anyway, so Vortex, Powerhouse, Friction, and Friction step through the dimensional portal in what they see is Captain America fighting three German soldiers. Two of them are shooting at him with traditional bullets, and he is protected by his shield. The third soldier, however, is wearing a weird black and gray uniform that was inspired by Star Trek The Next Generation. He's wearing a lab coat over top of that, and he has a backpack with Tesla coils on it. He pulls back the lever on the large mechanism in his hands, and it discharges a massive blast of electricity. Captain America's shield is struck by that blast. And in this universe, the shield is made of 100% adamantium. And as we saw when Magneto ripped the metal off of the bones of Wolverine, adamantium conducts electromagnetic energy. So, as such, Captain America is blown back. He takes quite a few points of damage and struggles to even move. So, the older friction of Earth K breaks the Jacob's ladder on the back of the high tech backpack, while the younger friction of Earth L punches him out while sort of yelling in the style of Michelangelo about how cool it is to be doing this. To her, being in World War II and fighting German soldiers is kind of like a meme come true. As the younger friction shares her enthusiasm with her teammates, Powerhouse 2 fires an energy blast, knocking out the first soldier. And at that same time, Captain America throws his shield at the other one. But Powerhouse rolls a critical failure on his second dice action, which results in his laser blast accidentally striking the shield in midair. So it knocks the shield off course, and the laser is deflected in a different direction. The last of the German soldiers unholsters a sleek, futuristic ray gun and fires a weird tranquilizer round at Vortex. And he rolls several doubles, and Vortex is rendered unconscious. Part of the reason I wanted to do this was because as of me recording this, Today is actually, for me, January 25th. And where I live, we are actually in the middle of an extremely bad winter storm that a lot of people have been referring to as a blizzard. So the local authorities where I live are actually arresting anybody who is out on the road today. And as such, Brad, who normally plays Vortex, was unable to join us for this game session. So knocking out his character was how we decided to explain his absence. The fact that I rolled so many doubles was just really, really convenient, in pulling that off, right? And we played it off as comedy, so that no matter what the player characters did, they could not wake Vortex up for the entire rest of the game session. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Point being, the trank dart hits Vortex, but then the player characters see that this thing is automated. It sucks out some DNA and then it vanishes in what looks like a transporter effect. The PCs don't know it yet, but that dart has returned to the dimension that the high-tech bad guy is originally from. Anyways, as soon as the dart is gone, the older Friction punches out the last bad guy, while the younger Friction runs and grabs Captain America's shield, bringing it back over to him at super speed. Cap takes his shield and brushes himself off, remarking on the unusual costumes that the PCs are wearing. He's met superheroes before, of course, but they wear the fashions of the Golden Age. So, from Cap's point of view, the PCs seem really futuristic. The younger Friction announces that she's a big fan of his, while the older Friction begins rummaging through the villain's equipment. Captain America then asks if the player characters are with the Allied forces, to which they agree. Powerhouse says he is honored to meet Captain America, to which Cap replies that he's just a kid from Queens, insisting that he's no better than anybody else, and they're all in this together. Meanwhile, Friction finds a device that displays where the user is in the multiverse, as well as other previously cataloged Earths. This, in turn, reveals that the tech the Germans of this world had was given to them by this other group of Germans called Reich 5, who won World War II on their world and had begun expanding across the multiverse, sponsoring their counterparts in proxy wars as they expand not only their sphere of influence, but also their understanding of the human genome in their search to create the quote unquote ultimate race. Also, among the villain's confiscated equipment is a gadget with the radio communications power, over which an order comes down the line informing troops that reinforcements have arrived from Reich 5 and that they are ordered to take all incoming tech to German occupied Latveria. Friction finds yet another device. This gadget displays an analysis of nearby people and displays information on their powers and ethnicity. And it is color coded. So baseline humans are outlined in green. Reich 5 agents who have been genetically engineered in a way that the device would recognize are outlined in yellow. Enemies with powers are outlined in orange. But interestingly enough, Vortex is outlined in red. And the reason for this is that the people of Reich 5 hold the very wrong belief that some races are better than others. And mixed up in their philosophy about race and superiority is their various assumptions that they have about the nature of superpowers. To put that another way, Vortex has the power to go from world to world, which they place a very high value on. But he's not the same race that they are, which to them is an affront to everything they believe in. As such, this device displays that it is a priority to collect a sample of his DNA for further analysis, which they did, of course, but then to capture him and take him back to Reich 5's home dimension so they can dissect him. As the heroes collect more equipment, such as explosives and weapons, yet another broadcast comes over the radio telling German troops to take high-tech stuff to Doomstadt in Latveria so that it can be reverse engineered. And since Vortex is the PC's only way home and he's out cold, that means that the player characters are trapped in this world for the time being. And when they hear the broadcasts about Doomstadt, the party decides to act, with the two frictions and Captain America disguising themselves with the uniforms of the unconscious Germans, and Powerhouse 2 using an image inducer taken from the Reich 5 agent. The heroes commandeer a German truck and begin their final preparations for the journey. Powerhouse keeps a high explosive charge, and the younger Friction equips a universal translator. The older Friction asks Captain America if there are any other superheroes that the party could bring with them to Latveria, to which he answers that he is technically part of a team called the Invaders, but that this version of World War II on this Earth shows no signs of ever ending. So the heroes of this Earth are tired and they are spread far too thin. So the other members of his team he hasn't seen for a while, right? They're not available to join in the adventure. So with no other options, the PCs undertake the task at hand. Arriving at the gate to Doctor Doom's castle, they are stopped by a guard. He asks why they are here, to which Friction responds that they've captured Captain America. And to be specific, the real Captain America is wearing the uniform of a bad guy, while the guy in the Captain America costume is the knocked out villain. But the guards don't know this. So the surprised guard relays this information to the Red Skull over the radio, and Red Skull berates him for delaying this at all, right? If they have captured Captain America, Red Skull is very interested in getting his hands on Captain America. So he tells the guard to let him in like right away. So the guard, doesn't waste any more time. He opens the gate and the player characters proceed up the winding road. And it's a grim scene as they drive by just tons of German troops sitting around in the rain, uh, smoking cigarettes, talking amongst themselves, um, just waiting to get sent out somewhere, right? And it's not just the local Germans. Portals open, and more of these Reich 5 guys come in through the portals. So, with the near limitless resources awarded to the local Axis powers by Reich 5, this is a battle of attrition for the outgunned allies, whose technological deficit only becomes more obvious as the party gets deeper and deeper into the heart of Doomstadt. They pass by several large mechanical automatons as well, and they all have skull-like heads. And they're not as sleek and futuristic as the Reich 5 stuff is. So their diesel punk design makes the player characters think that they are native to this world, and the older Friction wonders if they were actually created by this world's Red Skull. Upon entering the castle, the disguised heroes in the German uniforms are met by Red Skull and 4 Axis foot soldiers. Red Skull rolls dice to take a look at the player characters, gets a really high roll, and immediately takes note of subtle flaws in the party's disguises, deduces their true nature, and then alerts the German soldiers that are with him. So Powerhouse punches Red Skull, knocking him into a suit of armor on the far wall. The older Friction bars the large front door behind them, slowing reinforcements, and then she fires a shot with the blaster pistol, the Reich 5, futuristic blaster pistol, and she gets a massive roll. She rolls like double tens, double tens, double tens, kind of a thing. So she deletes the head of a nearby German soldier. The younger Friction, wielding the powerful Tesla cannon, which we kind of described as like a clunky diesel punk, like proton pack kind of a thing, right? She attempts to fire it at the other Germans, but can't operate the user unfriendly design. So she complains out loud that she thought Germans were supposed to be famous for good engineering, but this thing is trash. Meanwhile, the Red Skull says nothing has ever made him more nauseous than the sight of Captain America wearing a German uniform. But he is quickly silenced by a shield to the face. With the shield still in motion, Captain America appears to be open to attack. So Powerhouse quickly steps in front of him, shielding him from the incoming barrage from the remaining Germans. Steve Rogers, by the way, has plenty of tricks up his sleeve, but Powerhouse didn't know that. So in his mind, he was happy that he got to quote unquote save, Captain America. As that takes place, the older Friction neutralizes the threat posed by the last 2 villains with a couple quick shots from that laser pistol. And then the PCs head upstairs to the next level of Doctor Doom's castle. Upon entering this level, 2 of those skull-faced automatons shudder to life as Friction successfully operates the Tesla cannon, sending a powerful arc of electricity down the hall and striking one of these mechanical monstrosities. This attack is quickly followed by a volley of shots from the other Friction using the beam gun. And Powerhouse fires 2 energy blasts, but neither finds their target. Captain America throws his shield, but the surprisingly nimble robot steps out of the way, only for the shield to bounce off the wall behind him and then strike the skull droid in the back of the head. One of the robots attacks Powerhouse, but this attack has no effect. Then the other robot misses entirely. Then, with another shot from the Tesla cannon, the first robot is destroyed, and the other one is taken down soon after. Going up to the next level of the castle, the party encounters a scientist named Dr. Maximilian Arturo, who does not speak with a German accent. So Friction is unsure of his loyalties and challenges his beliefs at gunpoint, waiting to hear how he responds. But their conversation is cut short when Powerhouse punches out Arturo. Friction searches him and finds a slider device that will allow the heroes to travel to other dimensions and specifically to their home Earth. When they search this variant of Arturo, they also find another translator earpiece. Friction offers that to Powerhouse, who declines, not wanting to stick random Axis equipment in his ears. Friction insists, but is shut down once more by Powerhouse, who retorts that he doesn't need to understand German to punch out Germans. And Captain America is kind of caught off guard by Powerhouse's propensity for violence. So he offers a motivational comment where he talks about his core values and how violence should only be resorted to as a necessity. And while he does have some effect on the young hero, Powerhouse has a really high mind and spirit. So when the conversation is over with, Powerhouse just seems kind of set in his ways. The party then heads upstairs to the next level of the castle, only to be met by young Victor Von Doom himself, who was making his way downstairs to see what all of this commotion was about. He is covered in bandages, having only recently experienced the lab accident, which left him horribly scarred. And he is clothed in just normal 1940s Latvian garb and a lab coat, because this is just 1945. He has yet to build his, famous Doctor Doom armor, right? So the older Friction greets Doom by his formal name, to which he queries if they've met before, to which she plainly says, "Not on this world," before rendering him unconscious with a blast from the Reich 5 pistol. Traversing even higher, the PCs reach the top level of this tower where occult runes adorn the chamber. Because just as it is on Earth K, this version of Victor Von Doom also wishes to retrieve his mother from hell. So at this point, the heroes have nowhere left to go. The sound of rushing footsteps fill the stone stairwell behind them. And the German soldiers have finally broken through the front door and swarmed the castle, and they're ready to enter the chamber that the heroes are in. So the heroes decide to detonate that high yield explosive from earlier. It's the kind of thing you would put under a tank in its path, and then hopefully it goes off when the tank is over it. And it's how ground troops take out tanks, right? So they decide to take out this castle, right? That they're going to put it against a part of the castle that is crucial to the castle remaining standing, right? Set it on a timer and then get out of here, right? Go back to their Earth. So they armed the device, and they then use Arturo's slider gadget to open a wormhole to Earth K. And by the way, Friction, who's literally a genius, rolled the dice and she got the right dimension. She got it right first time. So they go through the wormhole. They take this Captain America with them. After the wormhole closes, there is an explosion, and they bring down this version of Doom's castle, which brings us to the epilogue of today's game session. Once the player characters are home, they share what they've learned about Reich 5 with the Emperor, and they prepare to send Captain America back to his home Earth, though not without some information to turn the tide of the conflict. So they give Cap critical information on how the Allied forces of Earth K toppled the Axis powers of that dimension, as well as the schematics for the atomic bomb, right? Which Captain America says he will give to the Howard Stark of his Earth. But meanwhile, as all of this is happening on Reich 5's homeworld, there is this large, weird, cylindrical anti-gravity device where the capsules containing DNA teleport to. And one by one, new capsules appear in this large unit where they float in stasis, waiting to be removed. And one of these small trank darts slash DNA extractors has a flashing red light on it. So a Reich 5 scientist pulls it out, and this is the one that contains the DNA of Vortex. So he begins to study it, and he is shocked that Vortex has the power that these guys so crave. But again, he doesn't fit their idea of a quote unquote superior being, right? So rather than rethink their evil philosophy, Reich 5 attempts to separate the various parts of the genetic code of Vortex and isolate only the parts that they are interested in so that they can try to then recreate this in their own troops. And that was where we ended that one. It was too bad that Brad was unable to play because I actually made this adventure with him in mind. I do a thing that I call spotlight adventures, where something about the adventure lets a certain hero shine, right? And so the guy who was supposed to shine in this adventure was Vortex. Um, but I get it, right? We are right now, we are literally in the middle of a blizzard. So that's a pretty solid reason to skip game day. You know, I get it. I am 0% mad. That said, the rest of us had a great time actually being snowed in and playing role-playing games all day long, you know. We hope that you guys enjoyed hearing about this one. If so, and if you'd like to support our humble little channel, we would love it if you took a quick second of your time to just smash that like button. Make sure that you're still subscribed because YouTube loves to unsubscribe you and not tell you. And last but not least, leave us a comment. And from everybody here at the longest running superhero role playing game on earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Bye.